Now, if you don't know anybody on the Medicare drug benefit, you don't know what the donut hole is. But here's how it works. The Republicans decided, after opposing my plans for a Medicare drug benefit for years, that they would be for it, so they could prove they were not hard-hearted. But they would be for it only on their own terms. This bill that provides federal assistance to help seniors buy medicine makes the United States government the only purchaser of medicine in large volumes in the entire country that cannot bargain for lower prices when you buy things in large volume. So here's how the donut hole works. So they didn't have enough money to cover everybody all the way through. So because we have to give more to the pharmaceutical companies, the government helps you for a while.
Sorry.
And then it doesn't help you anymore. And you fall in the hole. And when you buy all your own medicine. Then when you're just about broke, they reach down and jerk you up out of that hole again and start helping again. That's not right. It is not right. The pharmaceutical companies would make money under any conceivable scenario. But just use your own common sense. Once you've made 10 million pills, the cost of the next pill is marginally less than the cost of the first one. And if you buy things in large volume, you ought to be able to bargain for a discount, and the seniors deserve no less, and the rest of the taxpayers deserve no less. Finally, she believes we have to enforce our labor laws, our trade laws, and in order to do that, we've got to have some budget discipline again in America. You know, when I left you, we paid down the debt 3 years in a row for the first time in 70 years. And we didn't have any, we had low interest rates, high growth, and no subprime mortgage crisis. And we had some control over our economic destiny. We brought trade enforcement actions more than 4 times as often as this government has. And now trade's become kind of a dirty word in the Democratic Party. But we got to trade because we're 4% of the world's population with 22% of its wealth. We've got to sell something to somebody else. We're going to maintain our living standard. And that helps to keep inflation down. But you have to be able to enforce a deal if you make it. And we can't anymore. Because you can't get tough on your banker. Think about it. Who are the biggest countries with trade surpluses against America? China, Japan, Korea, and the oil sellers. Who loans us money every single day to pay for Bill Clinton's tax cut and our soldiers in Iraq and Afghanistan? China, Japan, Korea, and the oil sellers. You have to go all the way down to our 5th biggest banker, the United Kingdom, to find a country that we have anything approaching a normal relationship with. So how can we enforce our trade laws? Think of this. It's Sunday, but tomorrow morning you get up and have breakfast. And then to get your courage up, drink an extra cup of coffee. Then you sort of take a leisurely drive down to the bank. You amble into the bank, barge into the president's office, and slap the living daylights out of the bank. Think you can get a loan that afternoon? Now we're laughing, but this is a serious point. If you want us to have any economic sovereignty at all, we got to stop doing this. You know, I love saying this. I had the lowest net worth of any president in the 20th century when I went in. And you may remember they were pretty rough on me, so when I left, I was worse off when I got there. Somebody said to me, the only Americans that were worse off when I left than when I got there are the rich people that served in my administration and me. But once I made money, I became the most important person in the world to me. And there were all these young people serving in Afghanistan and Iraq, and one conflict I supported, the other I didn't. But I knew a lot of those kids. A lot of them were the children of my friends, and I was not permitted to support them. Instead, they kept throwing these things at me. So you got to understand, I owe it to you to tell you, there's one issue on which Hillary is more conservative than President Bush, the budget. She believes if 2 and 2 is 4 in Reno, it's probably still going to be 4 when she gets to Washington, D.C. And I think it's important. Just 2 other points that I think you should consider. I do not believe it should be held against someone if they spent a lifetime of service trying to help change other people's lives for the better. And she is a world-class change maker. When I met her, she was working in law school on the problems of abused and neglected children, and she felt so strongly about it, she took an extra year to study at the hospital and the Child Study Center. And at the time, there were almost no protections in the law in America. And the work she did with the people she did it with laid the foundation for sweeping changes in laws all over America so that we could protect children. When she got out of law school, she didn't go to work for a big firm, and she could have. She could have gone home to Chicago, gone to work for a firm, run for office as soon as possible, and she'd have been here 15 years earlier, I think. She'd done that. But she went to work for the Children's Defense Fund, knocking on the doors of poor people's houses to find out why their children were dropping out of school so early. And she and her young colleagues discovered that most of them were dropping out because they had a mental or a physical disability that was not being addressed in the classroom. They put together a report, sent it to Congress, that became the basis of what we now know as a special education law, requiring an equal and appropriate education for all our children, whenever possible, in the public schools. It changed life for millions of American kids. When I was governor, she got word that too many of our kids weren't getting off to a good start in school, and believe it or not, she said their mothers are young and not educated, but they want to be good mothers. We need to teach the mothers to be the children's first teachers. I said, oh, you go solve that problem. A couple of weeks later, she said, I found the answer. I said, where is it? She said, Israel. I said, what could they possibly be doing in Israel relevant to the Mississippi Delta? She said, they got all these people coming into Israel who are not European Jews. They're from North Africa or former communist countries, and they don't speak the language and not part of the culture. They're teaching the mothers to be their kids' first teachers. And it's working. The kids are doing great in school. And I said, and how do you propose that we do this here? She said, oh, I called the woman that founded the program. She'll be here in a couple of weeks. She's going to help us start. So pretty soon she's hauling me around to all these little graduation ceremonies, these beaming mothers and their beaming little kids. Now, what relevance does that have to you in your choice? Because by the time I ran for president, that program is spread to 26 American states and a national headquarters in New York, and every year thousands of little kids are getting a better start in school because she's a world-class change maker. And I think that's amazing. When I asked her to handle the education reform effort we made in Arkansas, a national expert named Kern Alexander has said that we had the worst schools in America. Had, 200 districts with no advanced math, 175 no chemistry, 150 no physics, 130 no biology, over 100 no foreign language. They said, this guy said a child would be better off in any other state school. So she supervised putting together a reform package, helped pass it through the legislation, and saw to its implementation. What relevance does that have to your choice? Because when I ran for president, the same guy